alleging that they have censored him. He cites multiple of his videos that have been removed from YouTube, and he specifically attacks YouTube's medical misinformation policies, saying that they are overbroad and vague. Now, you might be wondering, how is he going to sue YouTube and Google for this, considering that they are, they're private companies? There's no First Amendment right to have your videos on a private company's platform.
Oh my God. This guy is absolutely and completely and totally retarded beyond measures of human intelligence qualifications. And I'm saying that because that's not only my opinion, it is the truth. I don't know if this is some sort of MSNBC advocate or what. They've just got this wrong. It's one of those things that is so obviously... It's just gone so... There are so many other things that they have got completely wrong. For example, with the court case for Dartmoor, for wild camping on Dartmoor, right? The landowner wanted to stop everyone wild camping on Dartmoor, right? Dartmoor, right? He bought the land. It's his land. He purchased it, but yet it's Dartmoor and it's got public right of way to go through it and so forth. There are certain walks on it, right? And there is a certain right of way through the land on Dartmoor, right? But yet this guy bought it and he wanted to do pheasants. He wanted to have pheasants and stuff like that on there. And he wanted to stop people camping wild on there, right? Because he'd bought the land and he wanted to make some money out of it, right? So he gets a local MP on his side and he goes to court and he gets an order made so that the judge decides that camping is not a recreational activity. So they can't camp on there because apparently the camping on there is for recreational, recreational activities. So by saying camping is not a recreational activity, then they think that they're going to stop people wild camping on there, right? Firstly, right, I pointed out that there are park benches installed all over England, right, by local councils, authorities, not only in parks, not only on the streets, not only in the countryside, or on many walks that may be on Dartmoor. And the benches are supplied for recreational purposes. They're provided it's a recreational bench. You sit on a bench for recreation, right? Sitting down, doing nothing, sit there looking at the view, right? So that was completely over the top of the heads of these people. They didn't even consider it. They didn't even think about it. It didn't even pop into their mind. But yet it's so obvious, it's so simple that there are people installing these things in councils and ordering them for that purpose. So how can you say sitting in a tent, looking out of the tent at a nice view, is not recreational? If you can sit on a bench doing nothing, just looking, is not recreational. This is because they didn't want to attempt to even contemplate or think about that possibility because they didn't want it to be a recreational activity. So they completely ignored and blanked the obvious. They're not just obvious, they're not only more than obvious, the well-documented, well-used and put through authorities obvious. Even on records. Here's a bench, we're installing it for recreational purposes. You don't do much other than sit there, right? But even without wild camping acknowledged as a recreational pursuit, even without camping regarded as a recreation, wherever you are, and no matter where you go, just walking around on your own 2 feet as a human, whether you're on the moors on Dartmoor or not, or whether you are anywhere in England, when you're just walking around, it could be on Dartmoor, could be on private land, it could be anywhere. As soon as you either sprain your ankle or get fatigue or you can't stay awake or any similar reason, you are immediately beginning to invoke medical rights. You're going into medical rights. You are triggering and raising the legal powers of medical rights. And if it's raining and you're getting wet and you want to eat, you can erect your tent around you to protect you either from the weather, the wind, or the rain, or any animals or insects or whatever. For any of those reasons, when you're going into tiredness, fatigue, under medical rights, you've got the right to shelter. So they can't take that right away because you've got it. It comes with you as a human, having the rights of the country. Now, the medical rights in England, in America, remember, we don't have the NHS, but you've got certain medical rights in America. You know, you've got to get your money out and pay for it, but if you get your money out and pay for it, they can't deny you, certain medical emergency treatment and so forth. You've got the right to access it. They can't stop you from having it. So the medical rights are something that you can't take away, right? They tried to take it away. Now, that case actually went back to court after I had gone out of my way to express those thoughts and points to all the parties through digital media, right? And now the case has won an appeal, and they have got the right for wild camping on Dartmoor, even though it's private land, because they can't take those rights away. Anyway, not through the medical aspect of it. And actually, camping is a recreation. And there are many, many council decisions that have been made where, benches are a recreation. They wanted to get rid of it. They wanted to stop people doing it, these people. And they tried. But it's a no-brainer. Now, this guy here on this American program, who is so pro... This guy, he's even pro anti-rights. I mean, what he's saying is that it's so untrue that YouTube and Facebook and the current American authorities and so forth, and even the British Parliament, they're going on and on about this misinformation, taking misinformation down from the internet. How is this guy even online still?
He says this. So he filed this 27...
This guy, the Young Turks, this guy here we've got talking on this video that he's even talking about alleged censorship and misinformation. He is giving misinformation now. By saying that, First Amendment is not covered on private platforms, that is misinformation. These are the type of videos that need taken down. Yet MSNBC is this type of dialogue, this type of language, yet who's taking their videos down? They want everyone else's videos taken down for alleged misinformation, when camps like this are coming out with so deep, no-brainer misinformation that it's a new form of misinformation. It's dumb. It's not just misinformation, it's dumb. It's so dumb that it's uneducating the world. And I don't know how YouTube and Facebook can't be sued for that. Now, RFK is talking about basically YouTube and Facebook have got some sort of third-party immunity, and the American government was threatening to take away their third-party immunity from them if they didn't start taking all these videos down, right? Look, with that camping example, right, it shows that the medical right, you can't take it away. Even if you're in someone's house and you have a injury, they can't stop you from getting medical treatment, right? If you're in a private house and you twist your ankle or break your leg, they can't stop the ambulance coming in to their house. I don't really think you can quite get your head around that. It's someone's private house. Just because it's private doesn't mean anything. They can't murder you. They can't steal your car. They can't even steal your own things out of your pocket, your private property, if you're in a private house. So what if it's a private house? There are laws of the country that we have to abide by. The way that these people are starting to kind of talk on these shows who are so anti-rights that it's unbelievable, I think they kind of think that there isn't a law. Like in America, if someone comes into your house, apparently you can shoot them. It's almost like they think that murder's not illegal in their own house. Murder is illegal in their house. But I kind of think that the Americans are viewing or considering the First Amendment for political right of free speech, right? It's almost like murder, as if you can just go around killing people. Because, there's a lot of people ended up dead with the police recently around that Atlanta Stop Cop City thing. People end up dead in America by the police a lot more than they do in England, because in England they don't have guns, they're not armed. I think this is a sort of Wild West thing of America. And unfortunately, I think YouTube are treating it like Wild West. Well, it is wild because there are so many channels being removed from errors. There are so many videos being removed from errors when the algorithm gets triggered or videos get removed when there was no reason at all whatsoever. There is no content in the video that correlates with any accused claim at all. I've had that with me, right? And they said, oh, sorry, it was our mistake. I actually managed to get them to admit the mistake, but they didn't restore my video or channel because they're saying that it's been taken down now. It's staying taken down because of one video which affects 3 of my channels. And that one video, one strike, wasn't even a severe one. And I didn't even have any other strikes. And they're lying and making up excuses about that video. So, and it's affecting other channels. Now, in America, right, if this whole intruder thing and then shooting someone for defence or whatever, in the English law, in the English Bill of Rights, it says you can bear arms for defence. But that doesn't mean in England, people have shot people with shotguns coming into farmers' houses and the farmer has been prosecuted, right? But with the medical right, it's a lot easier to understand it, right? It doesn't matter where you're standing. On this whole island, in all these British Isles, your physical location, whether you're on the Highlands on Aviemore at the top in a remote place on the top of the Highlands by yourself, or whether you're in Soho in London, or whether you're in the Houses of Parliament, or whether you're on the beach in Cornwall, or whether you're down a pit mine, right? It doesn't matter where you are in the physical realm, right? In this country, you have the right to be attended to if you are injured or in need of medical attention. It's one of the rights. Now, when we go into political rights, okay, the political right for petitioning is that it is our rights to petition our government, and all prosecutions and commitments are illegal. That means that there can be no claims. No one can hold you to a commitment, right? That is the same with the medical right. How can you have a medical right in someone's house, in a private house, because that person can't hold you to any commitments of their own private property, like, oh, this is my private property, I'm not going to let anyone in. That's a commitment, right? The petitioning right is the highest and most extensive. It protects from everything and anything, right? It is on par with the medical right. In fact, probably it's got greater right than the medical right. Because I don't think that medical right actually has a clause in the Old Statute law. If there is, then, you can point me out on that where I'm wrong and I'll admit it, unlike this guy here, right? Now, for private houses, right, I don't know, I'm going to have to send this to Robert F. Kennedy because I need to, it's annoying me, this, right? Look, how do you get onto, right, how do you even knock on someone's door? Now, it's true that in America and England, or Australia or Canada, there are various types of houses, right? There are normal people's houses, there are terrace houses, there are bungalows, there are blocks of flats, apartments. People live on top floors, you've got to press a buzzer to speak, or people have got electric gates with a coded key entry, speak to my hand because my face ain't listening. But normal people, normal houses, normal people who go around normal life. That's the status quo, the average person. Not Mark Zuckerberg with a, underground security bunker and Hawaiian retreat with, Alsatians and armed AK-47 security guards like some henchman island or whatever. Normal people, right? Normally, anyone in this country, it's normal to go up to a house and knock on someone's door, right? Oh, hello there. I'm so sorry to bother you. This is perfectly normal. Would you like to come to the village fair? We're having one down the road. It's nice and friendly, we do talk to each other in this country. Oh, excuse me, I noticed that you left your children's balls rolling down the road. I thought I'd bring it back. How dare you speak to me? How dare you address me? How can you be on my doorstep even speaking to me? Well, you lost your ball. If you go into the trespassing laws, all these, without reasonable excuse, right, privilege or interest, it's insulting to even say that you were having to use that trespass act without reasonable excuse, right, or interest, because it's actually normal and healthy human interaction to go on someone's garden, up their drive, walk up to their doorstep and use the door knocker that's made for someone to use if they want to knock and talk to them, not being a postman who does it on a daily basis because he's delivering the mail, giving notice, serving notices from other individuals who've got the right to write to them. But it's almost like we're going now with all this Mark Zuckerberg, block, ban, Messenger, Elon Musk, X app, the only thing you press on there, it pops up a menu, block, ban, mute, report, not like, oh, hello, ooh, now we've got the smiley keyboard out now we're talking, ooh, look at all these smileys we can have. Some of them are angry ones, I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg and Neil Mohan have done to the world. Yet when it's all about them and their life on the stage, oh, here's Neil Mohan, give him a round of applause, walking onto the chair. Sit on the chair, Neil. Come sit next to me, my friend. Oh, look at you and me in front of the world. Doesn't everyone love us? Fans? fans, fame like Mr. Beast. They're applauding, they're clapping. They're coming to talk to and see us. Oh, I don't like some people in the studio. If I was Klaus Schwab, I might be pressing block, ban individuals, and the chairs might be dropping through the studio underneath like some sort of Spectre chair, like in a Bond villain thing. There's a whole audience here, but it's Extinction Rebellion who are in the audience. How did they get in the building? We'll have to press the Spectre button, and the chair might fall through the bottom of the floor, like on Graham Norton or something. Pull the lever on the chair, eject these people. We've paid to be in the studio. This is it. There are normal people who go about normal business. Now, the right to petition actually is about the person, right? The person, the human, the creature, right? Now, we're meant to have free speech, although I think free speech is becoming a comedy joke in America as well. When you've got free speech, right, that's the point of the right to free speech. Now, that's you talking, and it's about you, the person. It doesn't mention any place, any area, any zone, any county, any property. There is no mention whatsoever in free speech about where you are or whose property is it. It's irrelevant. It is you, your mouth. You have the right to speak freely, free speech. Now, if some people don't like what I'm saying, then that's their problem. Now, there are other laws about what is illegal and legal to do with harassment and so forth and so forth. Now, all those, to be honest, are quite questionable in attacking free speech and taking it away. But mainly, as long as you aren't breaking any of those other laws, you've got free speech, as long as you're not murdering someone or stealing the car or harassment or whatever discrimination. Although YouTube's discrimination is questionable now. They're discriminating against political opinion, right? But when you're using the right to petition, a political right, and you're going about a political campaign, it's not just free speech. You've already got the right to free speech, regardless of where you are. When you're using your free speech for petition, then you really have got free speech without any of the other laws, because you can't be prosecuted, fined, or imprisoned for any of those laws, because prosecutions are illegal. That's the point. Congress shall make no law. That is the point. Now, when you're at a party, at someone's cocktail party or pool party or whatever, and you're talking a normal conversation, what's the point in speaking to someone? It's true that MSNBC style people gravitate around similar people with similar views. That's who your friends are. You would usually have friends who are into snooker or pool or canoeing or motocross or whatever you're into. You hang around with those people because you like the same things. People would find it ridiculous to hang around with people who they don't like or aren't into the same things, but that's not illegal. It's not illegal to not like the same things, right? So usually people have friends who have a similar point of view and a similar opinion, but that's not illegal to have a different opinion. It's your right to. So if you happen to be speaking to someone at a cocktail party you haven't met before, and they ask you a question and you give them your opinion on it, and they don't like your answer or don't agree with you, that's usually what a conversation is. That's what, otherwise, you might as well have Stepford wives or program robots. It's nice for people to share similar opinions, but also different views and talk to understand it. That's what learning's about, to see other opinions. I'm starting to think that Neil Mohan and YouTube and Zuckerberg want Musk want to have Stepford wife people, so they all, perfectly agree with everything they say, so they can sit on the stage with Neil Mohan, and everything he says is wonderful, everything he says is intelligent, the next innovation, the next outstanding creation, everything he says, clap, 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 like Klaus Schwab, oh, everyone's applauding, I can feel how much they adore me, oh, come let us adore him, this is it. People don't always agree, particularly in pubs and places like that, right? Now, if you don't like it, tough, or you just say what you think and you debate it, which you've got the right to. But when you are going about a political campaign and promoting it, or asking people about it, or collecting signatures, you have the right not to be prosecuted or imprisoned for going about that. You've got the privilege of being immune, which means you can say what you want or do what you want without being prosecuted. Now, you've got free speech anyway to say what you want. So it can't be identical and only the same as normal free speech. It can't just be free speech. The right to petition is something more than free speech. To say you've got free speech and you can say what you want anyway, right? Except if you're harassing, discriminating or whatever against someone, because those things are illegal. What's the point of having the right to petition? Free speech isn't the right to petition, and free speech isn't immunity from imprisonment or prosecution. Free speech is free speech, right? To say what you want, unless you break some other laws, which they are illegal. So why would you have something that added something that prevented you being imprisoned or prosecuted? You'd only be imprisoned or prosecuted if you were doing something that was imprisonable or prosecutable, right? Which is a law. So you've got the privilege of breaking the law for petitioning. Particularly, the thing is, what is this petition? What do you need to do? Pretty much just advertise and promote campaigns or do publicity for it and collect people's opinion or gather evidence and investigate things. It's what is it though? Yeah, it's not scuba diving. It's casework to government. It's bringing matters to the government for a change in law. It's casework. What other examples of casework do we have? Well, police do casework, civil cases do casework. If you get married or divorced, it's casework. Those type of things. Casework things, depending on what case it is, right? So there's a little bit of arbitration, a little bit of variety, depending on its casework. But, here's a case between McDonald's and KFC for money fine. It involves burgers and restaurants, but it's casework. Here's a case about a stolen car. It involves cars being stolen, but it's about them being stolen, and it's casework. It's not a case where someone's punched in the face, which involves fighting, but, these cases take on the unique facts and circumstances and the subject topic of the case in particular of which it is about. Therefore, whatever the subject of the case is, absorbs the facts and circumstances, the area and field of subject around that case. So if it's a case about illegal road signs and driving, that's the subject of the case of which the immunity would extend into. If it's not a case about the environment and the ocean, then the subject does not cover the environment and the ocean. Therefore, the immunity does not cover environment and ocean for that case, because that case is about investigating illegal road signage on the roads. So that is same as the police. When a policeman is pursuing his line of duty and investigating a car thief, his acts and actions that facilitate him to pursue that is for that endeavour. He's in through that case. He's not scuba diving in the ocean, is he? So you are allowed up people's drives and to knock on doors with free speech anyway, and it's provided for in the trespass law, although, it's an insult. It is an insult to say that you would have to say, oh, yeah, I've got a reasonable excuse, when you're doing something where there's a door knocker designed to knock it or a letterbox designed to post letters through. It's not an excuse. It's actually for that purpose. It's for that reason. To say that you are having to, argue a reasonable excuse to go on property through the Trespass Act to do something that's normal, it's kind of insulting, but, that's the way it is. Service of notices. Some notices have a legal requirement to be delivered, particularly if it's legal notices or letters, civil matters, proceedings, complaints, and so forth, right? Now, if there's two private properties, if you've got a house on a street, number 57 and number 58, and they've both got a garden, right? If I go into the garden of number 57, that's private property. Next door to it is number 58, and that's private property. If I am asking the person if I'm delivering a letter anyway, service of notices, or even if I aren't delivering a letter through service of notices on his private property, even if I am, his kid's ball rolled down the road and I'm bringing it back and telling him, which is, a reasonable excuse, right? But it's a kind, and I have a reasonable excuse. I'm doing something kind, to say it's a reasonable excuse is, it's insulting. His neighbour, right, both private houses. His neighbour has his neighbour got a right to tell me to get off his neighbour's land when it's not his land? Well, not really, but there's two private areas next to each other, right? Both private, as far as I'm concerned. Private 1, private 2, right? I'm on one private A land, private B land. It's what that other person telling me to leave or whatever, right? And if I'm asking for petition signatures from that person, his neighbour. Now, this is the thing, right? When you've got the public arena, the public area, walking around in public, right? The public sphere, the public forum, the streets where we can all be, right? We can all walk around the streets and talk freely, right? As long as we're not, attacking or harassing, these laws or whatever, or discriminating between people. And I think YouTube do a hell of a lot of discriminating. Shops, restaurants, B&Q, Walmart, and so forth. Those public libraries, those places are privately owned, but the doors are open. You go into a shop, a fashion shop, a clothes shop. You can go in there to buy something, right? But you can go in there to look. And you don't actually knock on the door and ask permission to go in. Open all hours, opening times, it's open, right? If you are in a shoe shop, right, looking at shoes or buying shoes with your friend, and you are talking about them quietly or in your own business, right? Whether you like the shoes or not, or whether you should go, buy the ones you saw earlier on. You do have free speech, right? Free speech. Unfortunately, the way that Mark Zuckerberg and, Neil Mohan and these other people have been designing it recently, right, is that they're kind of really trying to take that away, particularly eBay. Oh, don't talk about this on eBay, don't talk about that, don't give over emails or this or that. They're really trying to stop you from having free speech on their platforms, right? If you were in B&Q or in a shop, you ask for an attendant, excuse me, can you tell me where this is on this shelf, right? If you're talking to your friend, about what you walking around Walmart saying, oh, that party was great last night. Yes, did you like it? The staff coming up to you, hey, excuse me, sir, can you stop talking about your party, please? It's just wrong. But even if they did challenge that, right, if you are, I can guarantee this, right, if you can be in a place, right, if you walk into Walmart, right, you've got a right to be in there and look around the shop or purchase something and leave, right? It's open to the public. And actually, they're not allowed to use discrimination. There's laws against discrimination, right? You can be in there physically. You can physically be in a library. Private clubs require membership to gain access. They don't allow you into the building, right, without membership. That's a private club on the doors, or a private house when you even got, if they put a physical thing there, right, to stop you going up the drive, right, you got to press the buzzer and speak to them, right? That's a physical obstruction. In shops, unless it's somewhere like Liverpool where they've got, bars behind the counter or whatever, in shops have open doors. Libraries by the council have open doors, right? You've got your free speech as long as you don't, harass, discriminate, or, murder someone, right? You've got free speech to say what you want. And the right to petition stops you from being prosecuted, and you can only be prosecuted for speaking freely if you might otherwise be breaking a law, which means discrimination, harassment, or something. You might be wanting to get the laws changed on something that is questionable, like things that are currently illegal. You might want to get it legalized. So you are protected. It goes further than normal free speech, right? And so if you're in someone's house and you've got the right to speak freely, the response to that speaking freely, if you're in a debate or argument, or the person really decides that they don't like your opinion, then they've got the right to ask you to leave their private house, right? But initially, you've got the right to free speech in a conversation, it's their response or reaction to that free speech when they ask you to leave. But note, right, in the private house, right, this is key. In the private house, right, remember that the laws of the whole country apply to everyone in that house. Theft, harassment, and so forth. The person whose house it is can break the law and harass you in their house. I think YouTube are harassing us with these adverts. I think these adverts that YouTube are putting and make us agree to show in, though, are harassment. I mean, if you're in a private house and the proprietor got you to agree, consent to being harassed by him, that would be strange. Can he do that? Is there anything in the law that says if it does amount to harassment, can the other person make you agree to it or agree to be murdered? These are all questionable things. But, so the person who owns the house, actually, for racial discrimination, I think that it's meant to be in public. The last time I looked at it, which was a few weeks ago, there was something about the acts that I read that it's racial discrimination in public. I don't know if there is a racial discrimination in private or not. I'm not sure. But there is certain other discrimination laws that certainly will apply in private, or harassment or something. So if you're in someone's private house, you can prosecute them for harassment, right? That's the other way. Not them prosecuting you or telling you to leave, right? But again, with that medical right, injury and so forth, you've got the right to go into a property. They can't keep the ambulance and fire brigade out of their house. the emergency services, the police. Really, that law of the right to petition is as strong as the police law, really. The majority of what the police can do. It's policies, policing policies. This is what I said. Neil Mohan and YouTube and all the investors of YouTube that you can have can't keep the police out of YouTube building if the police want to come in there to investigate or get a warrant to search or even turn up to question staff. And if YouTube's on fire, they can't keep the fire brigade off YouTube. Or if a member of YouTube is injured, a staff member or a visitor who's in YouTube, Neil Mohan can't keep the ambulance out of there. Now, that's rights. Those are rights penetrating all of the United States of America. Now, this Turk guy here, there's no First Amendment rights for, YouTube or so. Yeah, there is. There is. I'm sorry, but there is. There is. That right, that First Amendment political right, is on par with all your medical rights and all the other rights, emergency service rights. It is. That's what it is. There is a First Amendment right on private property. Now I would say that it goes further than normal, unpolitical free speech in someone's house. In someone's house, you've got free speech anyway. If they want to ask you to leave and don't like that after, if you didn't have free speech in someone's private house, you wouldn't be able to make the first move. You wouldn't be able to open your mouth to say something that they then afterwards didn't like and decided they didn't like you and asked you to leave. Now, if that is in public or somewhere else, you've got your discrimination, right? They can't discriminate for you being, Pakistani or religious and so forth. They may be able to in the house, but I would suggest that political right, it's you. It covers you yourself. Like I said, it's almost like the holodeck. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing for the medical right. You've got the right to, it's you when you're injured, right? You can switch the holodeck to what the fuck you want, what location you want. It's you. You've got the right to the medical attention. And that's how the right to petition works. Like on the freaking holodeck. It doesn't matter what you switch it to, it is you. You cannot be held to any commitment by another person or whatever. It's like the medical right. Now, they actually are they're discriminating against your political right, which they're not allowed to do. And, this is the rights and laws we've got. Now, some people don't like the rights and laws we've got. We're debating over the rights and laws. That's what they're heavily debating in Congress and Parliament, whether we should change these laws. Now, some people, Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, might not like the fact that if someone's in Mark Zuckerberg's private Hawaiian retreat, it could be surrounded by men with AK-47s and barking robot dogs and God knows what else he's got hovering around there, right? Crawling or slithering from the science laboratories that he's been novel new technologies, right? If any individual is in Mark Zuckerberg's house, even if they go in there without permission and he shoots them with a shotgun and they happen to be still alive, if he blows their head off with a Magnum 54 or whatever number it is, and they still happen to be alive, crawling, believe it or not, whether Mark Zuckerberg likes it or not, he can't lock them in the meat cellar like some eerie Indiana film. He's got to allow that ambulance in there, right? He's got to. He's got to. He can't stop that ambulance from coming into his house. And that is federal law, whether he likes it or not. And this is what we're arguing about. But instead of getting the law changed to get rid of the political right in First Amendment, they're just lying about it. They're just trying to pretend. And this is what misinformation is. It is an MSNBC and the current governments they are giving the misinformation. They are the ones, they're accusing us and taking our videos down. It's them. Now it's the same with that court case. It's the same with that court case on Dartmoor. It was obvious, it was a no-brainer, right? And he didn't want them to have wild camping on Dartmoor. He wanted to kick them off. But he couldn't, because they erected a tent around them. There's already public right-of-way through there, right? Even though it's private land. Now, this is the thing with YouTube and Facebook, right? YouTube and Facebook, the status of them is it's like publishing. They're publishing. Now the newspaper is privately owned. The newspaper's privately owned, right? The newspaper is privately owned. But they publish. It's got public notices section. It's got legal section. They provide a service to the public, right? Of publishing. A shoe shop provides a service to sell shoes, right? Now, if you want to be a publisher, particularly in the newspapers, which is meant to tell people the news anyway, if you want to have a public notices section and be a newspaper owner, these are the laws and these are the rights. You can't discriminate. And this is why there's an illegal political campaign intervention. Elections campaigns, you can't intervene in them. Even YouTube have said they've got a election, they call it misinformation, but I don't even know why they're saying that. They're not a court. YouTube aren't a court. And if the government are telling YouTube to take things down, well, people are gathering signatures politically. It's for the public to decide if they're going to support it or not. And then Congress can debate whether or not it's right or wrong after they've seen the weight of support who believe that it is true. Congress making orders as if it's a court. Yeah, not against normal people, against normal channels and videos, not when it's a petition, because you're using your immunity and you're challenging the government over it, and you're gathering opinion from people on the weight of that, and you're challenging what the government think, and then the government debate it. They don't debate it and stop you from collecting the public opinion from it, because then they're preventing your investigation in casework. The petition is the jury, and it's a unique judicial process where you go to the jury first, and then the MPs debate it on the weight of the jury opinion. That's what it is. It isn't police investigating something, or you putting a case together for a civil claim and getting facts, and then going to a court, and then a judge deciding, or a judge and jury deciding. The format of the petition is that you go to the jury first, and the jury decide. And then you take the jury's decision and you give it to Parliament. And then Parliament have the privilege of debating the jury's decision, they can debate it and come to a decision, but you have the right to collect the jury's opinion from the public signatures first, and then Parliament debate it, and the weight of the jury's decision may even compel them, absolutely, which is the referendum. The referendum is the jury's weight on the matter, absolutely overriding the government. That's how it is meant to work, right? And Biden administration and the current Parliament cannot stop that. And Parliament Petitions Committee are trying to stop them even letting you allowed to collect signatures or publish it on the website. Oh, you can't attach this evidence. You can't even say, they're limiting how many words you can add. They're handicapping you and making you put a very weak case. And they're even, they're undermining the petitioning process and brushing it aside. The petitioning process was the primary and first process. And then we started electing MPs and having parliaments and then dissolving them and then petitioning to have a parliament again. Your MP is your emissary, your carrier, your legal representative. He is your solicitor and lawyer in Parliament elected for your petitions. And then gradually over time, when they all gathered together, they started brushing them to the side and they wanted to discuss their own matters, what they wanted to decide, not our matters. And then we've been basically, like in the party, pushed to the side, our opinion or whatever, although they haven't been able to completely get rid of it. And now they think we're just voting for them and their party and what their party thinks, there's more people in the party. Fortunately, in Parliament, we've got a right to, even if they don't, you can go into Parliament and you can go in the gallery and you can watch. You can send them letter. You can send a letter to the party. Please leave our party, Mr. Andrew Bridgen. Well, I've left the party, all right, but I'm still in the room. Bridgen has left the party. I'm no longer a Conservative, but I'm still here. Notice I'm still in the room and I'm not happy. Bridgen's not a happy man, but he still hasn't left the party. He's left the party, but he's still at the party. This is it, and people are still sending letters to the party, petitions, trying to get the party to say this or say that. And apparently when you get 100,000 signatures, the party has to talk about it, even if the host of the party, the speaker, doesn't want to speak about it in his party. This is my party. I've sent a letter to the party and they will discuss what I want them to discuss, whether or not it's Jeff Bezos's poolside party with David Blaine eating glass. You need safety goggles for that. I don't need safety goggles. I petition the government to make eating glass legal without safety goggles. And here is my exhibition to prove that it's safe. This is it, at my own risk, at my own personal risk. I don't know. Google is now being controlled and owned by these dark vanguard forces, and these puppets they've got being the CEO, like Moan and so forth. I've not got no clue about the law. This is an absolute no-brainer. Yet they've managed to get these people even coming out with the words like, there is no First Amendment right on private platform. Rubbish! Absolute tosh! It's like saying you don't have the right to erect a tent on Dartmoor if you've got a twisted ankle or you're falling asleep. When you do, and that's now been proved. You do not only have the right to free speech in a library, they ask you to be quiet, right? But in a shop, it's not just a normal free speech you've got in a shop or store. You've got immunity and protection, right? And, YouTube are even saying that you can't use YouTube to intervene or in elections. They actually do know that you can't intervene in democratic process, which means YouTube can't. Now, when YouTube publish, which they have done, their policy, which says we will comply with state and federal law and foreign laws, that means that they are complying with and they are agreeing to give you and abide by every single act of legislation and apply it, including the right to petition, which means that they can't hold you to any commitments. They're agreeing to that. They're agreeing in their policy that each and every act of law will be complied with, including the right to petition and not holding you to any commitments. They are agreeing to. Yet they're blatantly denying it. Well, they're trying to say that it's only elections. But this is what RFK is doing. When he's on these shows, he's running for election. And he's advertising himself and his opinions so you can vote for him. It's an advertisement for RFK. So, when YouTube take his videos down, they're intervening in his election campaign. And they are actually giving misinformation about what even that is and entails. It's such a no-brainer that it's an insult to intelligence. YouTube need to be prosecuted not for this third-party thing with these. They need to be prosecuted for lying, giving false accounts themselves, issuing false accounts over these matters. Their entire automated system, which they're having to automate everything because they don't have the staff, is pulling videos down for incorrect claims, false claims where there is no such content in a video whatsoever as claimed, and they're doing it. They can't even monitor their system. There are not only hundreds of videos and not only thousands, but tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of videos getting triggered with claims that aren't even real. They don't exist. They're saying that a video contains X or Y when it doesn't. There's not a trace of it in there. That message that their platform sends to say your video contains X or Y when there's no trace of X or Y in it, not even justifying X or Y. The claim is false. And then you appeal and they reject it. I managed to get out of them a comment, a confirmation in writing through Twitter, which I've sent RFK, which says, oh, we're sorry. It turns out that there isn't that content in the video after all. Sorry about that. The claim was false. Now, the video's not been restored because now they're saying that, even though they were wrong about that video, my channel's been staying down because I circumvented punishment for another channel. When I didn't have any strikes on that channel and I only got one strike, and their policy states that, if you break a standard policy rule, you get a strike. You only get your channel taken down with either from 3 strikes or if it's serious. To be serious, it has to meet the criteria for serious strikes, which are illegal activities, harmful or dangerous acts, or harmful or dangerous acts. If you just break a normal policy violation, you have normal policy violations, believe it or not. You get a strike when you break the policy. If you get 3 strikes, you get your channel removed. But now they're removing it on 1 strike if it's serious. But my strike was not serious. It wasn't even flagged for serious. And then they decided that they wanted to say it was serious. And then when I argue that it's not serious, they're changing it. What they're doing is they're effectively lying. And these platforms, because they're in a foreign country, if it was the shoemaker or the butcher or even, the local radio station, you can sort of go there and complain in person or write to them or ring them up on the phone, and you can, complain about it and ask them to correct it. They're building walls and obstructions, and they've got a privilege of being in another country when you can't even really get to them. They're abusing their position, and they're abusing the excuse of the automated system, and then we're short staffed, and then they're saying, oh, we don't have to answer it. They're pulling the old I have the right to remain silent, anything I say can be used against me in a court of law, or whatever, all can be relied, so they don't say anything because they know that if they're in a foreign country and they don't say anything, you can't really do anything about it unless you take them to court. And they know that most people can't afford that now because it costs a fortune. So they're abusing their position, and they're using it to actually run an authoritarian regime from abroad. And then they're now even lying about rights, and what they're doing with these, election misinformation and so forth, they're actually rewording it all so they can actually make the law is the law. But what they're doing is they're actually using different wording they're misleading us on the truth. So in order to change our perception and beliefs, like this guy who was on this video earlier, right? So they've even got these believers now. These believers, like this guy, he's a believer. It's almost like these ISIS, these religious orders like ISIS, believers, extremists. They've even got these Americans now coming on, the Young Turk. Well, you can't have nobody's got First Amendment on a private platform. Wrong! He couldn't be so wrong. He's so wrong that it's stupid. He's so wrong that he's stupid. You might as well get these young Turks going around saying, oh, we can murder people. Murder's legal. Come into my house and I'll shoot you. There's no murder law in private property. There's no law stopping you from murdering someone in your own house. Walk into my house, I'll blow your head off. There's no such law. It's like that. That's effectively what, more or less, a comparison in what they're doing. It's like YouTube saying, there's no law against murder. You come on our platform, we'll blow your brains out. There's no First Amendment rights for petitioning on this platform. When tosh, it's illegal to murder someone. And you actually can, if Mark Zuckerberg did shoot someone, he can't stop them coming onto his property. Now, these platforms, the law is you can't be held to any commitments for petitioning. That's the law. And the platforms say we will apply and comply with state, federal and foreign laws. Now, the First Amendment is based on the right to petition in England. That's what it's supposed to mean. And that's the point. And that's what it is. YouTube are wrong. Now, I don't care how much money they've got. You can have a check for $1 million or $1 billion. You can have an army of lawyers. You can hire every single lawyer that Bill Gates has got. You can have 100 law firms, 100 chambers with 10 people each. And you can have them all lined up, and you can get all the wages on their table and pull them out of the wallets on the table in cash, count the money, and I don't care if there's £1 million there or not. On that bill, on that note, what does it say? Is it a $50 bill? This ain't no David Blaine trick. It says you cannot be held to any commitments. And that is the law. Publishers, if you don't want to publish and discriminate against people and have public notices that have a legal requirement to be published, then don't open a newspaper company. Don't have one. Rupert Murdoch's in the wrong business. Public notices. Particularly when it says there's a legal requirement to publish a notice in the newspaper. Like with roadworks and messages from the councils and legal notices, and you've got a legal right asking witnesses to come forward. Petitioning is in there with it. You've got a legal requirement to collect signatures from the public. You have to. On the Parliament petition website, it clearly states that publish these petitions on Facebook and Twitter and platforms. It's asking you to. That's like a requirement to publish a notice in the newspaper when there's a legal requirement or a legal right to. It clearly states it. That is what it is. There's a legal requirement to publish and a legal right to publish. And it's the same law as those legal requirements to publish and legal rights to publish. And that is what it is on there. And the Advertising Standards Agency, the ASA, they aren't allowed to intervene in political material with advertising because it's protected. But when the places that you're allowed to put it refuse you when you can do it, that's actually refusing an advert that is a requirement or right. And the Advertising Standards Agency, by the way, who we fund, that's when they do actually have an obligation to act. When they're refusing you, when there's a legal requirement. And you can say to the Advertising Standards Agency, excuse me, my advert's been refused when there's a legal right. You need to tell them. They're not just there to take things down, right? They can get things put up. And this is the thing with the Advertising Standards Agency, the ASA. Again, another department that we're paying for, if you see the Ombudsman now or the Trading Standards and so forth, there's so many excuses they're giving now that with Ofcom and so forth that they're making it sound like they don't exist, or there's no point contacting them, or there's nothing they can do. There's so much flimsiness now. It's like they're now starting to tell you. It's almost like they're saying, "This is Ofcom. We deal with complaints about videos and publishing. But by the way, we can't do anything, so don't bother contacting us." That's effectively what it makes it feel like now when you get a message from Ofcom. They're making it feel and sound like that they can't really help you. When that's what it's like. They're pointless. There's no point to them, and that's the type of dialogue now that this new whole movement is bringing, mainly through the corporate, because they're taking over with an authoritarian regime, the enterprise. They don't want us to have any powers or authorities. This is what's happening to the entire corporate sector. And what they've got us doing, individuals, smaller companies and businesses, now all the smaller companies and businesses who are going on the internet and social media and getting used to blocking and banning, the whole attitude's changed with smaller businesses. Everyone's treating each other in business as if it's like social media, when they're just not actually really, they can't really be bothered with anyone, or not wanting to exercise as if you have any rights. And what that does is it's actually almost like preventing people from coming together in smaller political groups. It's deterring people from trade and commerce between each other, and it's making people have to only go to these big companies. And what they're doing is they're being all friendly. Oh, we've got it's Amazon, Jeff Bezos. We've got the best, quickest delivery service. We've got the best return service. But all the products they're selling you are either harmful or they're cheap. They deliver it quick. But it's a lot of rubbish. You know, they're harming us, these foods. We're now caring about the products and the material things over people. You know, while everyone's working for these companies, but you know, if you really want to, it's all right when you're buying their things and handing the money over and buying their trinkets and stuff. But once you're getting onto their services and stuff like that, it's all right when you're bringing back a bag of nails and they give you a refund. That's fine. But when you're on their platforms, you know, you upload videos, you know, now you're making money, get monetized. But as soon as you start saying things or doing things that they don't like unions and stuff like that, or political rights, then they're wanting to take things down. When you've got the right on there, and this is like medical rights, they can't take that away, the medical rights. This is what's happening. Now, the statute law says that as far as Joe Biden's concerned, and Carmilla, and the American government, and Google, and the dark lords and sifs of Google, and, you know, these oligarchs and Neil Mohan, tough. This is the Constitution and the law. They want to change the world and scrap it. And they're pushing propaganda to Turks like this. And these Turks are believers. It's easy to see how these Islamics and Middle East terrorists are brainwashed by their religious orders and become fanatics. This guy here, this guy is a fanatic of propaganda. This video should be removed of this guy. Not me now. This guy. That is the misinformation that needs to be removed. But YouTube love it. YouTube actually think this guy's the saviour. Yet this, never mind election misinformation, this is the problem. Now, it's the same as with that Dartmoor case. That guy bought the land and he thought, oh, this is my private land. Oh, damn, there's a little bit of a catch, though. There's a public right-of-way straight through there. Ah, well, at least I'll try stop him from camping on there. Oh, it's YouTube. There's a slight problem, though. Anyone can view this site and read the comments and watch the videos, even without an account. Even without their own mobile phone. Even... oh, look, there's free internet all around, you know, free internet everywhere, free internet in the libraries, free internet all over. And you don't even have to join. You don't have to be a private member. You don't have to have a private card to gain access. Look at that. They're reading all the comments and they're watching all the videos. People are talking to them. They're watching people in there and they're talking to them, even though they can't put a comment themselves or upload a video until they get an account. But it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Right? You've got political rights on there because you've got right to free speech. Anywhere that you can be, you can actually be on YouTube and read comments and watch videos, so you're there, right? Anywhere you can be. And people on YouTube are meant to have free speech anyway, as long as they aren't breaking a particular law. And when you've got the right to petition, that goes further than the free speech. If it didn't go further than the free speech, there won't be any point having it, right? There are laws and rights that exist that they can't remove, and by God, they don't like it. Tough. And the reason they don't like it is that it's producing a lot of political opposition to the way that they're wanting to do things and run their own platform. In the same way as that guy on Dartmoor, he didn't like it, there was a public right of way through. He wanted to own the land and do what he wants with it. You can't have everything. These people think money can buy everything. Yet people with not a penny, with rights of the country, they've got the right to do something right in the face of a multi-billionaire who owns a platform. And by God, they're trying to propaganda and brainwash people like this Turk, like there's no tomorrow. Just like that Dartmoor case was trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. It's the same thing. Now, RFK needs to pull YouTube on more than just, the video's been taken down. YouTube are committing fraud. They're giving false accounts, they're lying, and they're actually aiding and abetting misinformation, the misinformation that they want to push. It's almost like those flexi sex videos. One of my videos got removed for just breaking the sexual policy, but not serious. There was no harm in it, nothing illegal and no dangerous acts. It was just a normal, it wasn't even against the law, it was just against their policy. That should have been one normal strike, but it shouldn't have been any strikes because my channel is politically protected, right? But yet, they've got these, type in flexi sex, they've got 9 flexi sex videos that each one's against the policy. But they're claiming they won't take them all down. They're discriminating who they're enforcing their policy against and who they aren't, which is exactly what they're doing with this Turk guy. He's putting misinformation. In fact, they like it. They're trying to even pass it off as the truth. Just like that guy on Dartmoor was trying to pass it off that, you can't camp on there, that you don't have the right to erect a tent around you if you're injured or tired. And they're trying to convince people that, American citizens, that they don't even have First Amendment rights on these platforms when they do. Other than that, the sheer volume of videos which have false claims issued. Now, I don't care if it's, a glitch with the system, right? That RFK might be correct about this third-party immunity, that, when it's a claim of this and that. But what's happening is they've made computers that actually are doing something that is not what it claims to be doing. And that's completely different to if your video has a right to be on there or not. What they're doing is they are lying. They actually, YouTube and YouTube's computer systems cannot lie. It can't give a false account. That's false accounting, and it's a false claim. YouTube might not be liable for other people's content, like RFK says, but as a operating company and business, they can't issue false claims against people, lies. They can't, even their staff. If their staff member was, stood there, they can't say that their staff member was kicking a door in when they just weren't. That's a false claim and statement. Now, you might say, well, that has to be judged in a court. Well, that's interesting because YouTube are doing a lot of things that aren't judged in the court, but they're still taking actions, Can YouTube issue, they might argue it in a court, but then they're making a claim that has no substantiation about it whatsoever. But the thing is, with these claims, YouTube actually are admitting it was their mistake. They're actually admitting it was their mistake. Once YouTube admit that, sorry, but they're saying that, we didn't do it on purpose. It must have been an error, a mistake. Well, the thing is, right, once you get a very, very, very large pile of, if you subpoena all of the evidence, right? Oh, this seems to be happening. You can't just, if you accidentally shove the door in someone's face, you can kind of like get away with saying, oh, I'm sorry, it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. You can do that like about 3 times. But when it's the 30th person who walks through the door at YouTube and Neil Mohammed slams the door in the face, he can't go, oh, sorry, there's another one. Bang! Oh, I'm sorry, my hand slipped, sir. I accidentally slammed the door in your face, so let me get you the first aid kit and rub your nose better or whatever. When that happens like the 159 fucking time, I'm sorry, Neil, I don't think it is just an accident or mistake anymore. Oh, well, it's our door. It's our door. Oh, we'll have to get that fixed. You know, keeps doing that to people. Naughty door, naughty door. Just a minute. The 254th time that someone walked into YouTube, if their door slammed in someone's face, like automatic electric door, like automatic electric claim system. No, is this a booby trap, Neil Mohan? Is this actually doing this on purpose to people? If it was just a mistake once or twice, then I can see that. But there's like 659,000 people who walked in and your automated electric thing just twatted them in the face or pulled their video down. Is this a booby trap? Have you read it to that on purpose? You know, oh, we'll have to get that fixed. Well, you better get it fixed quick. You know, this is it. If it happens a few times, but the number of... This is why YouTube are in deep trouble and serious trouble, and why they gave them this third-party immunity, because, you know, the amount of claims against them. But this is the responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. This is it. With great power comes great responsibility. They haven't got the responsibility. You know, they're trying. Oh, you know, it's all about money. Oh, you know, they're flying. They're flying. You know, look, you know, Neil's on the stage in his chair getting interviewed. It's all happening. You know, here's Mr. Beast. Here's one we made earlier. Successful, who tweak the dials, change the buttons, make someone, you know, it's Mr. Beast. You know, he's got, you know, 150 million subscribers or whatever. You know, now he's got chocolate bars in every service station and every garage. This is the thing. It's all right when they're making money out of it and they're being successful, but all these people who are getting videos pulled unjustly and unlawfully, actually false claims, you know, what about all these people? If they all put their money together, if they all threw $1 in and had more money than Mr. Beast had for breakfast, you know, and claimed against YouTube. This is what RFK needs to do. He needs to get the victims together in group litigation. And never mind Mr. Beast, who's been rewarded by YouTube. What about all the people who are being punished, cast aside, deplatformed, you know, like George Galloway on Twitter and so forth? You know, the evidence, you know, if you want these big platforms, you know, it's all right for them. They're making money. You know, oh no, we're doing people a favour. We're giving them a voice. We're helping them out. We're making the world better. We're providing video service. Well, actually, it seems to me like you're attempting to subvert the rights of the realm. And in the first opening part of the right to petition, it's evil ministers, judges, and councillors subverting the rights of the realm. Well, that's Biden. Unfortunately, that's Camilla and Biden subverting the laws and rights of the realm, which is trying to get YouTube to pull all their legitimate, strong political opposition down from the platform. Just like the Petitions Committee in Parliament won't even publish it, or making up excuses, oh, we don't know what you're asking, or you're not made it clear, or you can't do that. Well, I would tell you exactly how I can do it and through what means and methods and laws I were doing it, but that takes up my 500 characters, and then there's not left to write the rest of it. And I would attach compelling and strong evidence for this case, but you seem to be claiming that it's all vexatious and lies. Well, you know, actually the public have got the right to examine this evidence and sign if they support it and decide what they think, and then, you know, if there's 3 million, then it doesn't even matter what you think in Parliament, because, you know, the truth is what the people say. Because the people have the right to make a referendum to make something either legal or override courts. You know, if the entire nation said that night is day and day is night, I guess they'd have to rename it. You know, if the entire country, 60 million people in England signed papers to the government and said day's night and night's day. Then they'd have to update the dictionary at Oxford, I'm sure, and they'd have to slam a hammer in the chamber, and they'd have to change the terms in the dictionary. And then it's because at the end of the day, that's a word, day and night. They'd have to rename night and day. This is the thing. Unfortunately, this is what Turk's trying to push through his ISIS-styled MSNBC propaganda. RFK needs to do something about this very quickly. There's no contest. It's a no-brainer. There is absolutely no question about it. This is what the right's for. It's just a no-brainer. And Paul Groves from YouTube, the legal director, I don't know, who he's frequenting with, whether it's Black Belt Barrister or Coach House Chambers or, God knows what department, but we need to do something about these enterprises. Because this is the problem with the Knights of the Realm. They're all rewarded for services and this, services and that. It's not services to us. It's services of the company's house. Services of the things that the Charles and his government are rewarding them for. All the things that the military, industrial... These Knights of the Realm... Knights are soldiers, and they are fighting through their music, through their arts. Elton John, Jagger, the rest of them, Alan Sugar. They're all... A knight is a military position. That's why they're armed. They are the Knights of the Realm. And they have a special military position in a artistic license, and they're rewarded for their valor through business enterprise. It is the industrial military complex, and this is my problem with Ben Bradshaw and co, the BBC military champions. We need to do something about this regime, which is taking over this enterprise. Sir Patrick Stewart, all these Knights of the Realm. Not every single one of them. Some of them are all right. Some of them aren't corrupted. But I would say the majority of them are doing things which are not good for us all, particularly sugar refineries and so forth. But anyway,